Edwana, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Angela. And that's Renee. Hey, Faith, thank you for joining me. Glad to see you. You know, I go through this every week. Hey, Paige, thank you for joining me. Lorraine and Deborah, hello. Hey, Sister Barbara Kaufman, how are you? Jamia, good to see you. Mardell, thank you. Angela, Angel, good to see you. Good to see D Brown. Tawana, I think I'm still mad with you. Candy, good to see you, Candy girl. Karina, thank you for joining us. Um, Jean, good evening. Latasha, hello and happy birthday. Glenda, thank you for joining us. Kimberly, hello. Yolanda, good, thank you for coming. Rita, thank you. Julia, thank you for joining me. Julie, I'm sorry. Muriel, thank you. Hello. Marjorie Young, it's been a long week, and yes, we're going to talk a little bit about it. Barbara, Shane, good evening. Gloria, hello. Linda Wilder Bryant, all right, good to see you. Thank you for joining me this evening. Rhonda Bacon, Molly Lieberman. Hey, my brother Jamal Hudson, we go way, way back. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining me on here. Glad that you're with me from Rutland Plaza to being old men, brother. I don't know how we got it like that. Uh, Ernestine, thank you. Lynn, thank you for joining us. Denise, hello. Alicia, I don't know how you could forget that it was Friday. Of course, it's Friday. Um, hey, Ms. Hall Houston, thank you. And thank you for the Founders Day wish. Alana, thank you so much as well. We appreciate you joining us. All right, Alderman Nick Palumbo of the third district, thank you. Yeah, I was on CNN tonight, and just did the best I could to represent um, the 9-1 Deuce to Seaport, Savannah, Georgia. Thank you so much for that. Um, who else? Let's see, what else we got on here? Um, Latrell, thank you. You glad, look, and I were not a knife or a gun. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. Um, Jacqueline, hello. Hello, Natalie and Sandra. Angie for the DMV. Good to see you. Not in the airport for a change. Sam Bonaparte, Dee Dee, Tiffany, thank you for joining me. Terry, good evening to you. Roxy, good evening, Latrell. Thank you so much for joining me. We're glad that you are joining me. We appreciate that as well. Nancy, hey, Miss Nancy, thank you for joining us. Esteline, hello, thank you for joining us. Shauna, yeah, it has been a rough, rough week. Good to see you, Sister Luana Tillman, and thank you for the Founders Day wish. Alpha Phi Alpha turned 114 years old today, the first African American Greek letter fraternity. So thank you. Paige, Ray Ray, good to see you. Patty, you got to turn out everybody. Ruth, uh, thank you. Michael, God bless you too. Alicia, good evening, ma'am. Hey, Pastor Deborah Nesbitt, thank you for joining us. Brenda, thank you for joining us. Hillary, thank you. Hello. And Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Noonan, Georgia, Cynthia Elaine Jenkins, I want to thank you for joining us as well. Um, the issue is for me is that I owe you a phone call, so I know that I know I owe you a phone call. Um, yeah, so yeah, thank you as well. Um, we appreciate that. Um, yeah, a year ago you were celebrating me. No, a year ago we were celebrating us. Um, Jay, what's happening? Good to see you. Hello, Jackie. Thank you for joining us. Uh, Valencia, thank you. Hello. Hey, Janet, thank you for joining us. Oh, Latrell, you said if looks can kill, I have some very disgruntled people working with me. I can only control how I act and how I behave. I can't control nobody else but myself. Good to see you, Sergeant Billy Gray, working the other shift. Um, so good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Um, Nancy, we'll talk a little bit about that. Hey, Delisa, thank you for joining us. Hey, MJ, thank you again. Happy Founders Day to the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Uh, we are excited that we have reached 114 years. Shantae, thank you so much. We're glad that you are with us as well. Joanne, thank you for joining us. Gloria, hello. Lamarck, good to see you, bro. Uh, Zubida in Atlanta, hello. John, Yvette, yeah, I was just on CNN just a little while ago. I appreciate that. Um, Martha, hello. Anna, ¿cómo está? La Reina. Everything is fine. Melanie, thank you. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate it. Yeah, good to be on CNN representing Savannah. Leslie, hello. Elena, hello. My brother, Henry Lee Perry. Good evening, sir. And Lebo, thank you. Deborah Frazier, hello. Hey, Mike, my big brother Mike, thank you, sir. Um, thank you for always being such a good friend. Shantae, thank you for joining the CNN interview this evening. Regina, hello. Good to see Mary all the way from Washington State. Um, and Lakeisha, look, we trying the best we can. We're hoping for October. Thank you, Jackie. And um, Rabin, whatever your name is, we not doing those advertisements on here, so don't do that. All right. So I think this is getting ready to um, be going somewhere else. Um, thank you, Reverend Dr. Nakia Eason. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tracy. Yeah. So thank you, Sister Kaufman. Ann, hello. Diana, hello. Princess Johnson. Happy Founders Day in the memory of the great Prince Johnson. Um, Nancy, I owe you a phone call. I think I called you last. I think you better check. I think I called you last, Nancy. Angelique, hello. Sabrina, you'll contact me later. Okay, you can do that. Um, Desmond Duval, I am still waiting on this video. People waiting on the video, man. All right, good to see you, brother Marcus Thompson. Happy Founders Day to you. Suzanne, hey, good to see you. And yeah, we're trying to do the best we can to keep the folks safe. Sabrina, thank you. Um, E. Joyce Parrish, thank you. Good evening. Ruth, we'll talk a little bit about that. Tammy, hello. Hey, Courtney Pennington, thank you, Courtney. Good to see you. I hope you are doing well. Let me see. Let me catch up. Let me catch up. Let me catch up. Sheila, hello. Lynette, hello. Hey, Greg, thank you so much. Yolanda, thank you. I did not get your message. Antoinette, hello. Regina, thank you. Sadie Campbell, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Cynthia, good evening to you. Joan, thank you. Uh, C. Nicole, thank you. Vondell, good evening. Good evening, Bridget. Uh, you talk to your wrestlers, they say they're ready to wrestle. Well, good. We're going to be ready for you to wrestle. Sandra, thank you for watching. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, Carol, I mean, I was trying. I mean, Linda Wilder Bryan is funny. I mean, we were in the office, and next thing you know, I was getting ready for the CNN interview, and Linda does things big. So I love her. Rashida, thank you. Reverend Dr. Thomas Hart, thank you. Thank you so much. Angelique, thank you. Hello. Vanessa, hello. Terry Lynn, thank you. I appreciate that. And good evening, Twiggy. Good to see you. Tamika the Grinder, thank you for all your real estate needs. Michael, I appreciate that. Terry Mobley, thank you. Thank you. Happy Founders Day to all of our brothers. Um, Tiffany, hello. Trinity, hello. Lynette, hello. Um, Evan, I mean, look, I have the will and the authority to implement a mask ordinance that has been in effect since July the 1st. You keep going there with that. Um, Look, if that's how you want to spend your time, you can spend your time. Savannah has had a legal mask mandate in place since July the 1st. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So, good evening, Diane and Clara. Hey, Garcia, good to see you. Angelia, thank you. Um, Barry Posner, thank you. And thank you, Tracy, as well. Yeah, Terrell, this is, people thought I need to do better, so I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to elevate myself. Um, Deborah, thank you so much. Tammy, hello from Atlanta. Hilla, thank you. Um, Trinity, I have not gotten to the Hallmark channel yet, but I will. Um, Thank you, Desmond. I think that black and gold still rules. Catalina, thank you so much. I hope you got my email. I think I'm gonna try to be with you all on Tuesday. Hey, Joe, good to see you. Sherelle from Chesapeake, Virginia, thank you. Linda, thank you. It's a blessed week. It was a long week, but thank you. Teresa, thank you. Trudy, hello. Um, Jackie, thank you from Calvary Early Learning Center. Thank you. Um, Hey, let's do that, Brian. I appreciate that. And so Joe is with us tonight because he's not working as well. Edie, thank you for joining us. Um, okay, Nancy. So Nancy, we'll get rescheduled. We'll get it rescheduled. Hey, Sharon, uh, Edwards, thank you, Edward. Good evening. And um, again, Betsy, we need to talk about that. We kind of don't do that on these on this platform unless we are doing it. So um, let's we'll talk about it. Let's talk about that. So we want to vet you first, make sure we know what's going on. Hey, Dr. Webb, you are on your way, girl. Congratulations. My big brother Van Kennedy, Deanna, hello, Cynthia, hello, Sabrina, Elder Flossie, thank you for joining us. Um, Dewanza, tuning in from Brunswick. And Carol, thank you so much. Um, well, Joe, I agree with you. We can talk about crime if you want to talk about crime. Hey, Jen, thank you so much for your kind. Jen and friends have like the best drinks, and so I was walking by minding my own business, and Jen blessed me with a drink. Thank you. Um, we could talk about it. Talia, thank you. Um, Rhonda, hello. Edwina, hello. Linda, hello. Thank you. Um, Tiffany, I appreciate you. Um, anyway, Evan, again, my page, I get to post what I want. Kim, thank you. Hey, Pastor Tillman, thank you. Beverly, happy birthday to you. Aaron Burnett, Joanne, Aaron Burnett interviewed me on CNN. Um, Shamika, shouts out to your daughter who is a student at Savannah State. I'm proof positive you can get anywhere from Savannah State. Um, Brenda, Christiana, Linda, good evening to you. I did not watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Good evening, Coach. Good to see you. Betsy, we could talk. Hey, Pat Richardson, thank you so much. If I could ask the Senate 3 questions, what would they be? We'll talk about that. Mary, thank you. Shanita, hello. Hey, Dr. Harris, hope you're doing well, and we are doing the best we can. And Valerie, hello. Audrey, hello. My brother, Vince Jenkins. Hey, bye. Connie, thank you. Um, and we'll talk a little bit about this. Vanessa, hey, thank you. Thank you, my sister. Sherilyn and Rashida. Um, well, Evan, you can ask questions all day long. I've answered them, and I don't, I just choose not to continue to answer questions I've already answered. So, thank you, Milan Patel, Shamika. Thank you for joining us as well. Um, Tracy and um, okay, Betsy, thank you. Clara, Debbie Williams, thank you. Um, I don't know. Hey, Commissioner Tabitha Odell for the 5th District of Chatham County, thank you for joining us. Audrey, thank you. Happy birthday to Patricia Roundtree. Philip, thank you. And Barbara Chisholm, let's go ahead, let's get into it. If it's Friday in Savannah, Georgia, if it's Friday in Savannah, Georgia during a pandemic, if it's Friday in Savannah, Georgia during a pandemic, if it's Friday during Savannah in Savannah, Georgia during a pandemic, and you have no place that you have to be, if it's Friday in Savannah, Georgia during the pandemic, and you have no place that you have to be, and you're keeping the faith and you're following the signs, you're washing your hands, you're watching your distance, and you're wearing a mask, then you're on with me. It is Friday Night Live, and I'm Van Johnson. Again, thank you so much for being with us. Another Friday night, the 4th of December, and this year is almost over. Thank you again for taking the time to be with me. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you are here. I look forward to our Friday nights opportunities to be together. So, first of all, shout outs to my brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first um, Greek letter fraternity for African Americans. We have turned 114 years old today. So, we send shout outs to all the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. And counted among great alphas, of course, is Martin Luther King Jr., um, Thurgood Marshall, and the list goes on and on and on of men who have excelled in law, in politics, in education, in medicine. It's just, started with 7 men at, in, at Cornell University back in 1906, this day right here. So congratulations to all of them and to everybody who's a part of the Divine Nine and everybody who's part of Greek letter fraternities. Naturally, we all think that our Greek letter fraternity is the best fraternity. So I don't hate on nobody. We could all be great. Congratulations. So make sure you're liking this page, Mayor Johnson SAV. Make sure you're liking it and make sure you're sharing it. Make sure you're sharing it. Again, so glad that you're here. Got a great guest with you coming up. A couple of quick things I want to talk about, and then we'll talk about some of the things that you want to talk about. The first thing on my mind, of course, is um, really the interesting week. This has been a hard, long week. Today, Georgia set its largest single day record for new COVID cases today. Today, the Georgia Department of Health reported 5,023 new cases today. Today, 5,023 more people got COVID-19 today. The previous highest record was 4,782 in July 24th to be exact. So today, we are at 5,023 cases in one day, up from 4,782. What does that tell us, beloved? It tells us that COVID is real. And so this week, I've spent my week really railing because folks are still doing behaviors that are counterproductive to where it is that we want to be. I mean, I don't know what's so hard with people that are still trying to come for me, talking about I can't make them wear a mask. You should want to wear a mask. People are dying. I think 2,000 people died in the United States in the last 24 hours. 2,000 people. If you don't care about yourself, then that's just you. I think it's crazy, personally. And so, we talked about last week, I was around our city, and I'll be out tonight and I'll be out tomorrow. And, we're still not getting it. And so we still see enough people out there without masks. And I made it absolutely clear, um, that we've tried very hard not to be punitive because, of course, the haters say, well, um, that we want, we're saying, oh, well, we don't want to be raising money from these fines. No, we want people to comply. And that's why for most of this, I've said time and time again that we want people to comply, which is why our officers and our COVID response team were offering masks because we wanted people to be okay. We wanted you to um, do the right thing. So, we've given out tens of thousands of masks. We're still giving out free masks. And so, of course, if a police officer walks up on people, even those with those big mouths and the bravado saying, I'm not wearing a mask, when the police walk up, they put on a mask. They put on a mask. So then, if they're compliant, do we turn around still and write a ticket? But as our numbers are going up, as Georgia is getting into the danger zone, right now, the bottom of the number we want to be at for the community transmission index is 100. 100 is the bottom where we really want to be. We are at 218 today. 218. Now, mind you, the number we want to be below is 100. We're at 218. A month ago, we were at 170. What does that tell you? That tells you that our numbers are still going up. And we still have not seen the results of what occurred during Thanksgiving. We still haven't seen it yet. So our numbers are still going up. And let me go ahead and just take you briefly to where we are today, so that you all can see it. Let's see. Let's because we like to use data. We follow the science here, so we want to make sure we show people where we are in the state of Georgia. So in Georgia, let's see. In Georgia, um, if you look at where we are, we have 438,300 cases, confirmed cases, almost a half a million people in Georgia. A half a million people in Georgia have confirmed cases or had confirmed cases of COVID 19. As of this date, almost 9,000 people have died because of COVID. Now, for those of you who say that COVID is not real, then ask the families of the 9,000 people that have died. Remind you, at the bottom, you see where it says probable deaths as well. So, that's important as well. There are probably people who've died as well. And we've had 35,000 hospitalizations. Moving down just a little bit by county, and of course, we're talking about our home county, Chatham, as our numbers continue to start rising here again. Our numbers have been better than most because we've had a mask mandate. Um, but here we are, 10,068, 10,868 cases, confirmed cases, 345 positive antigen cases, 203 confirmed deaths, 8 probable deaths. So for us, that means that's 200 of our friends and our citizens and our neighbors who are not at the table for Thanksgiving or Christmas. We've had 920 hospitalizations, 920 hospitalizations. So this is real, people. And so that's why while I'm on this watch, while I'm in this place, I'm going to continue to advocate for a mask. This week, I've asked Governor Brian Kemp to do the right thing, to reconsider his position. Right now, we have what I would consider a bipolar schizophrenic policy as it relates to masks in the state of Georgia. The city of Savannah requires it in public places. The state of Georgia gives people the right to determine what they want to do in private spaces. That's crazy. So essentially, outside you have to have a mask on, and inside where you're probably more susceptible, you don't have to wear a mask, or the business owner does not necessarily require a mask. Doesn't make sense to me. And so, as I told you all before, and I certainly ask you, I mean, if it's a business that does not require a mask, I'm not going in there. And you get to vote. You get to vote by where you decide to go. So that was the deal about that. So yeah, a little earlier today, I was on CNN with Aaron Burnett, and we were just talking about what's happening in Georgia. Vice President Pence was here in Georgia today. President Trump is coming to um, Georgia tomorrow, um, and of course, they are working real hard to um, get be involved in the Senate race all of the time while casting dispersions um, to um, casting dispersions on um, what is going on in other races. So I found that very concerning for me. Um, so I was just on there talking about it. So anyway, um, so that's what's going on with that. Um, wanted to looking for my guest to come back. So when she comes back, we will go ahead and get that. Let me see something. Hold on a second. This might be my guest. Hello. Yes. All right. All right. Can I call you back? Okay. All right. All right. No, that's what I thought it was somebody else. Oh, my guest did show back up. So sorry. I thought the phone was my guest having problems getting in. But we love talking about stories and telling stories. So we'll get back to um, the issues and things you want to talk about. Um, but first, I wanted to welcome um, someone who I think is actually pretty awesome. Um, she is a mother. She's a speaker. She's a advocate, and she lives a pretty dope life. I mean, she's really the bomb, and I think that she's pretty phenomenal. Um, and so we're glad to have with us Masana Trailer. Hello.
Hey Van, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I am so glad to see you.
Oh man, it's been a long time.
I know,
So
but I follow you.
special.
I watch you, what you're doing and stuff. I don't want you to think I'm thirst trapping or anything like that.
Uh,
That's my new word. That's my new word. They taught me that word.
who taught you that? The
They told me
kids.
that that's the word, new word. So I'm using a new word. But I'm watching you move, and so you're on with almost 300 of my best friends. We get together every Friday night, and we've done that now for well over 30 weeks during this pandemic.
Wow.
For our Friday night date night, because we keep the faith and we follow the science.
Awesome. Okay.
So
Well, hey friends. How
so I
y'all doing?
yeah, see, say that. So they'll love you, and so we know your mother. You have two beautiful children. I mean, you've done pharmacy work. You speak all over the place. You're a community activist, advocate, um, and again, you live a pretty dope life.
Yep. I
Um,
sure do.
but there is a mission to your madness, so to speak. Um, and I wanted you to tell a little bit about your story.
Awesome. So my name is Lasagna Trailer, and I am dialing in today from out of Atlanta. I'm based in Atlanta, but I'm from Decatur, Georgia. And as Van said, I have two beautiful children. I have a 17-year-old son, and I can't believe I just said that. I have a 17-year-old son.
Yeah, I mean, he's 17.
He just turned 17 the week of Thanksgiving.
You know,
Oh, and I have a 9-year-old daughter.
wow.
And I have been living with HIV for 10 years. And we commemorated World AIDS Day on December the 1st. So that is why I'm here this evening. So thank you so much for having me. Um, a little bit about my story. First start with how I met Mayor Van Johnson. I got to meet him as commissioner in Savannah after being invited to do some work with the youth through the Chatham County Health Department.
Right.
Yeah. So after participating in that, I think we were at the skating ring, and I've been invited back to Savannah several times to do work
Didn't
around.
call me, but I heard you was here.
Well, I mean, things got kind of busy. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. You don't think you were gonna come here and I wasn't gonna know you were here. You lucky I ain't in the police.
Listen, that was a really hectic year. I needed a manager at that time, but nobody told me that.
Right. Oh yeah.
I was in and out.
So I mean, when we say HIV,
Mm-hmm.
historically, it's always been, it's been faces of white men in the beginning.
Still.
But increasingly, it's women.
Yeah.
And I remember when you talked with our young people and you went through la 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 la, and some of the young guys are looking and then you like, I have HIV, and they're like, you don't look like you have HIV.
Right.
So how did you contract the disease?
So I didn't contract the disease. I contracted the virus.
Right.
Yes. And it developed into the disease.
Right.
But how I may have contracted the virus, I am not 100% sure, because those persons that I had dated within that time frame, 2 particular individuals, within a year, you date someone for about a couple of years, and then you take a break, and then you're in a new relationship for 6 months, and you're like, nah, that might not work either, right? Neither of them.
Sometimes a couple of days for me, I'm like, no, you got some crazy tendencies. So
yes. But what I've learned is that Black men, or just men in general, don't like going to the doctor. So until they go get tested, I won't know, but I did encourage them to. So I do believe that I contracted HIV from unprotected sex. I cannot attest to, at the time, getting any new piercings. I've had the same ears pierced since I was about 5-6 months old, and I don't have any tattoos. I have eczema, so I didn't get it from that. At the time, I wasn't getting any blood drawn because I didn't need to go to the doctor often.
And you're not a drug user, intravenous drug user.
No, I have an extreme anxiety around needles, even thinking about it. Yeah. So I have to do a lot of breathing exercises before they stick me with the same needle they always stick me with.
Right.
And so no needles or no sharing of blood with anyone. Just, I believe it was from unprotected, condomless sex.
Right.
It's how I think
so, and so these guys, to your knowledge, may or may not have been tested.
Correct. So the one person did get tested, and although I saw their written results, I still didn't trust it. I want to see some lab results. Right. I want to see some blood work. I'm not convinced.
So and theoretically, 10 years.
Yes.
I mean, these guys could be still around Atlanta, having unprotected sex with other women.
We're going to correct that. Condomless sex.
Condomless.
Condomless, yes.
All right, so talk to me. Unprotected,
it's a little bit of the language.
Help me with the language.
Yeah, the language shifting from saying.
You can tell I'm not really well versed in all that. So.
Hey, I'm here to help you with that. So one of the things that I've been learning myself from the way that we address HIV and AIDS is correcting the language so that we can correct and shift and move how we address stigma in HIV.
Right.
So when we say unprotected sex, it's different than saying condomless, like you just without a condom. Because what does unprotected mean? So if you
means you're not wearing a condom.
You're not wearing a condom, right? So why not address it for exactly what it is?
I see.
Yes.
So it's more direct.
Correct.
But there are other ways you can protect yourself other than a condom, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You might be what are you protecting yourself from? Is it from pregnancy? Is it from what are you protecting yourself from? So there are dental dams. Those aren't considered condoms, but that's still a form of protection, right? So we want to use the word specifically for my situation, condomless sex. Okay. So there were moments I realized also when you know how you get comfortable in a relationship, people oftentimes condoms usage becomes less and less and less over time. And some people just don't use condoms at all. But however, I realized when you're in a monogamous relationship or you're committed to someone, typically as you've been using condoms, there are times where you may go dib and dab without one with each other because of that trust. And when that happens, you're still putting yourself at risk. So for me, what I learned early on is to get tested regularly. But the hardest lesson for me within getting tested regularly, because I wanted to know what was going on in my body, I wanted to make sure that everything was okay with me. The hardest lesson for me was getting tested wasn't enough prevention. I should have been asking my partners, not if they've ever been tested, but just because they were afraid to go to the doctor and get tested, I should have held them more accountable and say, nah, I need to see some results, like blood results recent, and we need to have some stronger conversations around this.
Well, let's go back a little bit because I mean, I think, some of that is, you're in the moment and you're like, wait a minute, where are your results? Show me some paperwork. I mean, what made you realize that something was different?
As far as which part, when you say that something is different?
For in terms of you with the virus, how did you realize or find out? I mean, was it just a regular
Well,
visit to the doctor?
I didn't have any symptoms to my knowledge. I didn't have a common cold or anything like that. I was someone who decided we had the DARE program then. And so they would come into the schools with the DARE program and they would share with us, people would share their stories of living with HIV or AIDS. And that didn't happen often, but it did happen. We did a lot of drug awareness and gang awareness at that time. And so I made a commitment to myself that I would always go get tested because you never know. And at that time, I also learned that you could have the virus and no symptoms for up to 10 years.
Wow.
And not know it. But today, it can show up a lot quicker as far as getting tested and whatnot. And so I had made a commitment at 15, okay, for the next 10 years, I'm going to make sure I get tested. And if I put myself at risk at least once, I'm going to make sure I get tested. And so although I had been tested regularly, we're not saying that I didn't get tested for 10 years. It's not that. And then it popped up. No, I was getting tested regularly.
Okay.
And when I went back and I asked my OBGYN during my normal physical and stuff, I requested to be tested for everything. And she named everything that she was going to test me for, but HIV. She did not see me as at risk because I consistently got tested. And then within my honesty of the sexual partners that I had at the time, she just did not see me as at risk. She said, you've been with the same person. Like, what's different? Are you dating somebody new? And I said, yeah, for about 6 months, I've been dating somebody new. And she's like, okay, but you tested and you were negative before. I said, yeah, but when I get tested regularly, I go back and I encourage my friends because they didn't necessarily always just have one person, and I didn't judge it, but I wanted them to be safe and feel confident. And I didn't want to be a person that talked about it but wasn't about it. So I made sure that I would get tested, come back, and encourage my friends to do the same to hold them accountable. But to our amaze, everyone was really shocked, including myself, that I ended up with HIV and they didn't. They said, how did you get it and not us? And when they asked that question continuously, I say, you know what? I should have made sure that I held the other person accountable.
So you find out, you get your test results, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I wish it was just a what.
At this point, you have a young son.
Mm-hmm.
You're young, you're living your best life, and you get this.
So I have a 7-year-old at the time.
Right.
And I'm 23 years old. And I am a pharmacy technician. I'm doing hair full time as well, doing locks in specific. Um, I was working for the census. It had just ended, and I just got my first apartment.
Wow.
I just got my first apartment, so it's the first time I'm going to be paying bills on my own. Uh, let's see. What I had at that time was me as a single mom trying to get up on my feet, okay, and raise my son. And I started dating someone. But when I was diagnosed with HIV, 2 weeks after my diagnosis, I found out that I was pregnant. And so what I thought I was going to be living it up and doing things became, should I get an abortion? Why would I want to put a child at risk of getting HIV?
Right.
Do I want to live anymore myself? Do I want to live anymore myself?
Did you really contemplate?
Oh yes, I contemplated. I prayed and begged for the latter. Like, can you just? I don't even want to be here anymore. Somebody else can take care of this other kid.
Right.
He'll be all right. You know. I just wasn't. My spirits were killed. I was crushed in spirits more than anything else.
How did
So
you tell
hmm?
how did you tell your mom and your family?
So y'all know that that movie. What's the movie called? For Colored Women, the play.
Yeah. For women,
Oh,
colored women who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough.
and there we go. Tyler Perry had just finished his rendition of that in the movie theaters. And I went with my mom to go see that. And the last person to share her story had on that red dress, and she had just been diagnosed with AIDS in that movie. And while I was in that theater, you didn't have enough tissue to help me. I was choked up. And my mother didn't know at the time. So my grandmother said she couldn't take it anymore because I had already told my grandma. And my grandma said, I just want you to live and be here to see your kids graduate from college. And I'm looking at her like, lady, yeah, I'll be here. But I was about 5 months pregnant with my daughter. It was around this time of year during the holidays, not too long after Thanksgiving, that I chose to disclose to my mom. And you see, I'm an only child by my mother. And so that was really challenging for me because I thought that she would feel so ashamed and disappointed that I ended up doing that. And I thought that I would be pushed away and not embraced. And I definitely received the total opposite. The total opposite. But how I disclosed to my mother, I told her I had a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news. And the good news, which one did you want? And I said, you want the good news or the bad news first? How do you want this? And she said, just give me the bad news. And I think that she thought that I was going to tell her that I had something else. But when I told her, she mentioned to me, she says, well, Masanya, you've been my entire world. And as long as you're okay, I'm okay. And then when you're not okay, then I won't be okay. But as far as you're living and you're okay, I'm oblivious to it in a sense. And she said, I don't know much about HIV, but I do know that there are people who are living with it and they're all right. And I said, yes, there are. And I'm not sure how they're living with it, but we can figure that out together. And then she said, well, what's the good news? I said, well, I'm having a baby and it's a girl. And she was excited. So it was a twofold part. And I believe that she held her composure and until I left, because there weren't many tears or anything like that. But that was interesting. But the part that was a challenge beyond the disclosure was choosing to go public about my status. I knew that that was a selfish decision. So I made sure I made my family, my immediate family, aware. And within me making them aware, I requested that they go get tested, that they would know their statuses, because there's no way I could do this and them not be held accountable first. And I made sure I let them know that you know, I really don't want you to have to go through what I've been going through emotionally or mentally or spiritually, because this is hard. It has been hard, very,
Well,
very hard.
let's talk a little bit about the journey. So, it's been 10 years. Has not been easy.
Mm-mm.
Um, you look great. Um,
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
know
Thank you.
that the hair's on fleek, but I mean, there are some extremely rough days. So tell us about living with HIV.
Living with HIV for me has been really scary at times. It has been really self-deprecating at times, meaning like I'm really hard and down on myself. It has been very isolating, not necessarily lonely for me. The loneliness, I'm an only child, so I don't comprehend what that is.
Right.
I'm always in my head, so I'm always, that's my good space being by myself anyway. But the the self-deprecating part, like just being really hard on myself and figuring out what my value is beyond being able to have my worth measured by someone else.
Right.
There are people who said, well, who's going to want to date you now? I've heard that before.
It
I
hasn't been,
remember,
it hasn't been a problem for you though.
no,
They,
not because of HIV.
yeah,
No,
they still be hollering.
nah, no. It's annoying for the most part, but
Right.
I have had some moments, even recently, where people like, they be in the DMs and stuff, and like, oh, what's up with you, Ma? And I'm like, nothing. What you want? And their response, I can tell that what I do on social media is very mission driven and purpose driven. So if you're not in my inbox specifically around HIV and AIDS, that means you're reaching. And I'm very, very overprotective of that space. There's
Right.
some strong boundaries there. So my work is very intentional, even as accessible as I can be. I'm very direct when it comes to that part. But dating, a lot of people a lot of men who are living with HIV, I've run into, oftentimes believe that if a woman is HIV positive, that she is lacking or feels very insecure. So I have first access to her. And when I've had that from other men living with HIV, what I've had to teach them is that no, you deserve someone whether they're positive or negative.
Right.
I have been dating someone for a couple of years now, and that person is not only HIV negative, but has never had an STD or STI before. So that right there within itself has shown me how much I value myself, how much I uphold my own personal worth, and has allowed me to, even before then, I had made a decision that I wasn't going to subject myself just to my status. Like, I am not HIV.
Right.
It is a part of what lives with me, but it's not make up who I am as an individual, where my heart lies, how I think, how I speak, how I treat others, but HIV was cruel in a sense because it made me really have to pull up a boost of confidence that it was more like of an armor of boundaries, I guess you could say, to keep people at bay based on like, what are your pretenses? What do you want? Why do you want to be in my space?
Right.
Someone recently tried to use my status as for an argument where they say, I would do this, but I might catch HIV. And, there are really cruel things that people can say, but it's only cruel in a sense of hurt for me if I take it on, because I realize nobody can judge me harder than I judge myself. And the way that I contracted HIV was no different than my mother and father having condomless sex to bring me into this world, to bring you into this world for your parents, and so forth. To
Actually,
procreate.
I was created. I was dropped on the doorstep by the stork.
He fell out of the galaxy.
That's
I
right.
got
I
you.
did.
He's in an incubator on avatars.
That's right. So, and but your life has changed, and so you live a very mission, very purpose life. um, it has opened up doors for you.
Oh, yes. Yes. I have met some of the most amazing people in the world. Like, I have met some of the most genuine, loving, sincere, authentic individuals that I have only prayed for, you know, and there have been there's so much sincerity and joy within it. So although with HIV, I've had those tough moments of disliking myself at moments, the questioning myself of if I'm valuable or not, and overcoming that, I have traveled so many places, heard so many life stories, and it has allow me to change the perspectives of people who want to give up on themselves beyond an HIV diagnosis. And to see people not want to give up and to pour into themselves and do more and see that they can too live a life worth living is amazing. I love to see that transformation in people. It is such a blessing and so beautiful to me. You know, there's so much healing in that. There's
Right.
so much healing in that. So I say that I'm HIV positive and I live a pretty dope life because I have a friend that tells me all the time, he says, I say, I'm doing this now. He says, because what, Masai? Because my life is dope and I do dope-ish.
Right.
So I say I live a pretty dope life because I don't have anything that I truly can complain about. Everything that my heart has ever desired, I've gotten, you know. And Van, I don't know if you know this, but I had a massive heart attack last year.
You remember? Oh, see, you remember? I was going back and forth. Remember?
That heart attack, that medicine, I'm telling you, the memory is not my memory is so bad.
I found out we were DMing each other, and I was like, "Look, you need to chill
That
out."
was probably right out of ICU, I
Yeah.
think. Okay. That was as soon as I came out of ICU because I didn't reach out to anyone, but if you hit me up, I made
I,
sure I
I
responded.
found out.
Yes.
I
Right.
found out though.
Yeah. And so even experiencing the heart attack, you know, there's nothing you can do without your heart. You know, your brain can stop, but your heart will still beat. But if your heart stops, your brain will stop too.
Right.
And for me, just looking back at HIV, I said HIV ain't got nothing on that heart attack,
Right.
you know.
So,
And
was it based on heart issues, or was something causes a complication of?
so that's one of the things that is really frustrating for me because I immediately went to HIV and said, HIV did this.
Right.
You know, and HIV can play tricks on your mind like that, where you may say, I want to blame HIV for every single thing that bad that ever happens because that's how society makes people feel living with HIV and AIDS.
Right.
So this particular heart attack, the type that I had, did not come from anything other than being a spontaneous uh, artery that tore. And
Right.
it's literally how they've defined it. There's nothing that they could have done uh, to help me prevent it going forward. And they said there's nothing I could have done differently to prevent it as well from happening. So it's not HIV related. It is not related to any of the medications that I've been taking for HIV either. It is just simply something that just happened in life. And that is also the way that HIV, I believe that it's looked at in our community, but I believe that when it comes to HIV, it shouldn't be looked at like that. It doesn't deserve to be in our community.
Right.
People living with it deserve to be in it, but HIV and AIDS does not deserve to be in our community. And we should take a stronger stance on making sure that we're doing every single thing in our ability to uphold, you know, um, just uplift people living with HIV and AIDS and not putting them down, recorrecting the conversations that we're having when we're speaking about HIV, the jokes, the rejection and the way that people use their words around it, the lack of education, the language. I think all of that plays a part in our culture to address this epidemic that we have, you know.
Now, some days you get real sick.
I do, but that sickness that I've had didn't come from HIV. It came from my kid went to school and caught a cold from someone.
Well, then let me go into that part because we have COVID. How, I mean, and I don't know, and I've not asked this question, so I guess I don't know. Um, are there special precautions that you take because of the virus? I mean, have there been any types of studies that talked about how people with living with HIV, how it relates to COVID? Are they
Yes.
more at risk?
There are a lot of studies out there. It is very overwhelming for me to keep up with because it is triggering, because I've lost a couple of people. Uh, I've lost a person dear to me recently, about 3 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks ago, from complications of COVID. She had lupus,
Mm.
and she was, today's her birthday.
Oh, wow.
And she did not have HIV, but she did have lupus. And I do know people who has HIV and who has a diagnosis of AIDS, who has had COVID and survived.
Right.
I know a couple of people. I've actually have taken them soup and things that they may have needed, but with precaution, meaning I would drop it off at the door and leave.
Have your arm way out, just say here.
Oh no, don't even come to the door. Like, let me just put this here. I'm gonna walk back and we're gonna yell from the car in the door. Like, no. But for me, I didn't realize how much of a germaphobe I was, because I was already stocked up on Lysol and Kleenex wipes and tissue and everything that everyone else buys now. I was buying regularly. Hand soap. Those are things that when it got sold out, I felt weird because I always kept those things. So my normal precautions have been the same, because if I do get sick, what I have realized, it is much, much, much harder for me to recover.
Right.
So COVID is a fear of mine. It is a genuine fear of mine. And granted, yes, I survived a massive heart attack. However, I don't think that with COVID, I would be prayerful that I would if I contracted it, but I don't think I would. I think that COVID would be something that could take me out. So I am very precautious. It's scary because I am the mother of 2 children by myself, although I am dating. And I try to brave the storm by, with groceries, even ordering them now from going to a very small grocery store, because I live in a city. And so I go to a fairly small grocery store. So there aren't many people. I go in when, where they let senior citizens come in. I go in during those hours where there's barely anyone in there, which is something I've always done. I've always paid attention to the time where there are not that many people in spaces like that. And I think COVID for me, if I have a friend or a family member come by, they wear a mask, I'll have on a mask too.
I'm glad you wear a mask. Very good.
While we're in my house together.
Good.
We have Lysol each other down when you walk in the door. Washing hands. Yes, washing hands. Like, I definitely have people who have been very proactive and care enough to say, to themselves, I don't even have to ask them to. They are doing that on their own, because they will tell me, I'm scared to get you sick. I'm terrified of losing you to something as, crazy as COVID. And I'm just taking as many precautions as I can, as I would with the flu, because the last time I had the flu, I didn't think I was going to make it. It was really difficult just with the flu. So at this point, I don't know. My immune system is as strong as somebody without HIV because of the medications, but I've never been the type of person to have such a strong immune system where the things like the common cold and the flu didn't impact me as much. Those things have always impacted me heavily ever since I was a little child. So I'm not playing when it comes to COVID. I can't afford it.
Right. Now, and now, numbers are particularly, and I know Atlanta is one of the hot spots in the nation. And that, it's really heterosexual Black women that are the fastest growing number. What will be your message to women in general?
When it comes to HIV?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of times people are often looking at men who have sex with men, Black men, and they want to blame men who have sex with men for women contracting HIV. But for me, what I have noticed is that us as women, we're not holding men, whether they are gay, straight, or bisexual, we're not holding them accountable for our sexual health, for our reproductive health.
Right.
And as I've been watching that, I really charge women now to make sure that they charge men with that. You're our protectors. Whether you're gay, straight, or bisexual, you're still our protector. And we are the gifters of life. So why wouldn't you want to protect your seed that grows within us or potentially can grow within us so that we bring life forward? You want to protect that next generation. I think it was so unfair of me to put my unborn child at risk of HIV. And even, I thank God that, my daughter was born HIV negative. However, as she gets older, she will have now on the same level of accountability of holding whomever she decides to be with accountable to. So when I see women that are HIV negative, I definitely want them to stay that way. I beg you, it is so hard. I live a dope life because I push through, I push forward. But why go through all the heartache and pain and the fight and the mental side of having to go to therapy every week right now, like just so that I can rebuild my confidence and remind myself if there's a moment that I cut myself to not have to think about I might infect someone else with it. But because I'm at an undetectable viral load, I can remind myself that U equals you, meaning undetectable equals untransmittable. So I can't transmit the virus to anyone, but why even go through the process of having to have that full conversation with yourself over something so simple as that? I do feel that HIV, the cost of it, I saw another advocate today mention the cost of medications for herself, but as a former pharmacy technician, I've seen people spend up to $23,000 on just a handful of medications for HIV alone. And I myself, without health insurance, I do have it right now, but without health insurance, I see that my medications, which is just one pill a day right now, for 30 days is $3,500 without health insurance per month. So why put yourself in a situation where you have those type of things to think about? I'm so tired of going to the doctor. I said, I thought this is what you go through when you get in your later years, 70s, 80s, and so forth, right? But I've been going to the doctor consistently for the last 10 years. I'm grateful to go, but I now understand and see, like, there are days and moments I don't want to go check on my health. If I didn't have HIV, hence the heart attack, but that's another thing. I wouldn't have to go to the doctor as much. I could use that time for something else. Right. I could go and do more and spend more time on something else outside of going to a doctor to pay them money for a virus that I contracted. So I would like to say to those women, like, do everything within your power. It belongs to you. Do everything in your power to make sure that you don't contract HIV. And then if you have contracted HIV, do everything in your power to get the support to reach out and to get into care so that you can take a stand and protect somebody else in a way that they did not protect you. Right. I think that is so important. And if you're male and you're dealing with women, do everything in your power to protect us. It's about community, and community is nothing more than family.
Well, you have turned your pain into purpose and passion. This is World AIDS Day this week. And I want our folks, we love being a blessing to people. I know you have an organization, and I know that you go out and you speak all over the place, and you speak at high schools and colleges and Zooms and things. So if we want to be a blessing to you, give us your Cash App. What's your Cash
snap.
App? So, hey, look. I mean, this is how we gonna do.
My Cash App is $ my name, Masanya Traylor. You want me to spell like I do for the what are those people? The telecommunications people, the telemarketers.
I'm gonna drop it in here because I'm asking my folks. I mean, every little bit helps. I mean, obviously,
Thank you
um,
so much.
for her and for what she does, obviously there are always expenses and things, but she also gives her money and her time to HIV education and related organizations.
And I actually, right now, I have a support group. I'm working towards solidifying my nonprofit as a 501c3 charitable nonprofit. So,
Well,
any donations that are made, if you put nonprofit next to it, I will definitely make sure it goes to there. But I'm about to put out a fundraiser next week to support women living with HIV who are trying to start their own or do things in their community. I also have a couple of women that need help during the Christmas season. I know a couple of women who need help with things such as furniture and household items. So if you're connected to organizations or if you know anyone that has that ability or the capacity to assist in that way, please reach out to me and let me know because I definitely, definitely have women living with HIV and AIDS that do need support and help.
right. And I mean, the fact of the matter is that, sometimes depending on your status and where you are in that continuum, you may not be able to work. You may
Absolutely.
not be able to afford a copay or medication. And you already know that Georgia has not expanded Medicaid. So we already
So
know.
then before we go, I want to touch on this real quick. You got 2 minutes for me?
Hey, look, we on your time.
Okay, give me 2 minutes. So look, how about this? When I was working in the pharmacy, because I'm about to tell you why I quit.
Okay.
While I was working in the pharmacy, I could not make enough money working 38, 39 hours because as soon as I hit that 40th hour mark, I consider full time, right?
Right.
I could not make enough money to afford the health insurance that they were charging for me to work at that pharmacy.
Wow.
But I was counting the medications to be there. Now, I caught the flu, had a temperature of 104, struggled to even get to an urgent care clinic to get some assistance, right? I quit that job because I realized the definition of insanity was I could not afford to pay for the medication that I was counting on a daily basis.
Wow. So you sit here touching the medication, looking at it, but you can't afford it.
I can't afford it. I can't even afford enough to pay the insurance to have enough
Wow.
money left over to pay a copay. Because by the time I would pay the insurance, I wouldn't have enough money to pay my rent.
Wow.
So that was just being a pharmacy technician. And I would go pick up hours at other stores.
Wow.
And it still just was not enough. So that's when I realized like I really was pushing for Medicaid expansion because there are parts within that that would have assisted me. Now there are programs like the Ryan White program, but one thing that I've also learned within the continuum of HIV care is the relationship that you build with your provider is invaluable. Like you can't put a value on that.
Right.
And so that transition from one provider to a next put a spacer in how I took care of myself.
Right.
I needed that stability, and that hiccup in that insurance piece did not work out well for me. I did not have health insurance for about 2 years, and I was going through the ringer. And I still know people to this day that if they go out of state to DC, Philadelphia, New York, they can get they can get care in its entirety in ways that we could never down here right now because of the way it's set up. And so when I look at our healthcare system practices and the way that they bring us in, it's not the same. It is really a struggle in comparison to more progressive states. So Medicaid expansion would be extremely helpful for a person like myself and others living with HIV and AIDS.
Right. We've been trying to get this governor to do it. Again, very important for y'all to vote. We want to. I want to try for our date night family to bless you. How old is your youngest daughter?
My youngest daughter is 9 years old.
We want to bless you. We found $900 to bless you before you leave here. Look at your phone. Where's your phone?
It's right here.
Okay, then leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it there. Then go back. Come on back to us.
Okay.
So to the family right here, put down if you're putting somebody. Again, we want to see if we can get you to $900.
Wow.
Because the other thing about this is this, and let's be very clear, is that if people will come to you with their status, you know, but they may not tell anybody else. I mean, everybody has not matured and to the point of where you are. They're living their life, you know, but they're not. So they would come to you for help, but would not necessarily come to anybody else for help.
Correct.
I mean, I might have on here, you know, several people on here that are HIV or have HIV positive or have AIDS, you know, and so the fact is you're able to provide direct help and assistance from that. And then of course, you know, your message. I mean, your message, your time, and obviously you are very appealing to particularly younger women, because sometimes we
Oh,
need to
that's so
see,
kind.
well, we have to see ourselves in this, and you know, um, so for I'm asking Cash App information is go ahead and spell it like you spell it on telecommunications. That,
To the telemarketers, is
yes,
M as in Mary, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, O, N like Nancy, I, A as in Apple, and then the last name Trailer, no space or anything. TR, not TA, just TRAYLOR. So that's Masanya Traylor.
right. All right. So we have people already out there putting it. I did pin. Oh, I put it up there. I gotta see how I can pin it. They're asking me to pin it. See, my date night folks. We
Thank you guys so much. That means the world to me.
I mean, it's holidays and people going through things, and you know, we realize we're blessed to be a blessing, and so I want us to go ahead and do that, um, and do that for you again, and then you let us know if we got there. But I see a couple of people saying done. Again, no amount
Thank
of
you.
y'all can, you know, if you $5 what you have, then $5 is $5 more than
Then let me grab this real quick. I wanted to mention something to you. I heard you say like a person with HIV. Um, I would like for you to include the word living with.
living with
Like
HIV.
living with HIV or living with AIDS. So to say HIV infected can be a little bit like insulting to people
Okay.
now. I don't take it as an insult, but I do have a few people that feel like it's cringeworthy. It's a lot of people that feel like it's cringeworthy, like I'm not an infection myself. So person living with HIV or person living with AIDS. And I know, and I commend you, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to have this challenging conversation because it's not easy finding the language.
Right.
And even I myself, I'm learning because just because it's the right thing to do. But uh, saying person living with is helpful, or even person diagnosed with, but you did say contracted and not infected. So I appreciate you for that. That was
I'm getting better. I mean, look, you don't know, you learn, and so you know, so I'm not afraid to learn it. And people on here are saying done. So I'll make sure. Do you have BMO?
I do have Venmo. It is the same. I have Venmo. It's my
Right. So
first and
yeah.
last.
Karen, she has Venmo, whatever that is, and it's the same thing. Masanya,
Trailer at
Tanya,
gmail.com.
Trailer, not Taylor, Traylor. Now, someone asked on here, they said you said you had a job and you quit.
I did. I quit that job. I didn't have much of a choice. I didn't make with
Because
Medicaid.
you couldn't afford to work.
Unfortunately, so with Medicaid, you can't make over $400 a month if you're a household of three in the state of Georgia. That's the way our policy is set up in order to qualify for Medicaid. And so I had to find a way to manage choosing between going back to school at Georgia State University to get a degree so that I could get a better job, and choosing to stay at a job that wouldn't let me get health insurance to cover the medications. So I opted to quit work, become a full-time advocate and activist, and I would go to school part-time and do advocacy part-time. And that's how I tried to like manage my lifestyle from there as best possible, which was, it was like a catch 22. It was like stay impoverished, but I would try to get other jobs that were paying a salary pay over 30,000, 40,000. I would apply for new jobs that were paying at least $15 an hour at part-time work. However, for some reason, I just was not landing the job. Sometimes I would get interviewed, and the person that interviewed me ended up with the job.
Right.
I and so I did quit that job, but it was tugging on my soul overall that I'm miserable. I was miserable there, and no job is worth your misery. I don't care what anybody says. So I found freedom in that, and I trusted the journey and the process, and I have been immensely and abundantly given so much to look forward to in life by doing that.
Right. Well, they are steadily on here saying done. So I want to make sure that they're doing it, because I mean the fact is you got a 17-year-old. I mean most 17-year-old boys I know are eating everything, eating everything
Oh
in
my
the house,
God.
and then being in a COVID environment, you're just at home eating more.
I'm trying to figure out where did the food go. I need to go to the store today.
Right.
Yes. Um oh my goodness. Yes. The kids, I think the 9-year-old might be beating him out in that area, it
Really.
seems. But yeah.
Well, we are encouraging everybody again on Venmo and on Cash App. Our goal tonight, we want to be a blessing to Miss Sonia Trailer, and we
Thank
want to
you.
raise $900 so her to be able to bless families in Atlanta, and to help her to spread her message. And I promise you that as soon as it's safe to do so, we will have her in Savannah again when I know
Yes.
about
I
it in
cannot.
advance.
Yes.
Um,
You promised me, Van. You promised me. I want to work with your county commissioners. I want to work with your superintendents down there. I want to work with them to definitely get back into the schools down there. That is so important to me. And I know that they'll be willing to do it. Let me talk to the teachers. I want to talk to the parents. Yes. And
Well, yes,
not just me.
yeah, we have to be able to do that, and everybody is not willing to put themselves out there to tell their story.
It's fine. I'll do it for them
That's
to,
what I'm
to
saying.
do it on their behalf.
That's why we got to bless you. We got to make sure
I
that
just I want families to really embrace their loved ones who have HIV, and stop letting them feel like they have to be afraid.
right.
The stories in the rural areas are really heart-wrenching.
I've
I
heard
mean,
almost treat people sometimes like you're leprosy. I mean, the fact is people
still
are
to this
living.
day.
They're living, they're thriving, they're surviving with HIV.
And if you can kill the stigma around it, you giving them the power and encouragement to get into care, get to an undetectable viral load, and stay in care so they don't transmit the virus. As long as they can get to undetectable, it's untransmittable.
Right.
And that right there is something that needs to be, talked about way more. But it's I think that they can do it down there in Savannah. Just
Oh
I'm
man, look,
ready.
look,
I
we live
want
a
to.
pretty dope life here in Savannah.
I know. I
With all
can't
due
wait to
respect
come
to our
back.
friends in Atlanta, we're pretty awesome here.
I know it.
Yeah, but we definitely want to, again, we want to encourage you. We know
Thank
that
you.
I've seen you and I watch you even when I'm not sliding in your DM. I'm watching you. I'm watching you do you and be very transparent when you're
Oh
having good
gosh.
days and bad days and all of those things. But I mean, the story has to be told. And so we appreciate that. And so obviously, for every life you save, for every person you bring into care by sharing your testimony, things just that's how things get better. So
Then I still have it. It's written down. It's written in right here. Look, I'm in my room. It's written down right here in my room.
your room is pretty dope. I see your room is pretty dope. I mean, you know, it's pretty dope.
Thank you. So one of the things that you told me, you were built for this. You told me that a long time ago.
Remember that?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh, okay.
It is written in my unpublished book that I'm
Really?
still drafting. Yes. And I tell myself that all the time. I said, he told me I was built for this. And I believe that. And I said, okay. And the things that I have stood a test to through this, I've recently lost a friend. Matter of fact, I lost another friend to complications of AIDS. And she was born positive. And her mom didn't believe in the virus back in the 90s, didn't believe in the medicine. And she and her daughter are now have passed. And that particular friend leaves behind a 3-year-old daughter. Wow. Who was born HIV negative. And her daughter, I just remember while she was pregnant, she was so afraid and so scared, saying, Masai, but what if she's born positive? I said, well, you'll be equipped with all the information and all the love and all of the support and all of the medicine to make sure that she gets through it. And then she said, and then what if she hates me because she's negative and I'm positive? I said, and she'll still have all the love and support. And then I told her just what you told me. You were built for this. Wow. You were built for this. And I got to help support her, take her to her appointments and get her clothes.
I remember telling you that, and I forgot it until you mentioned it. I do remember it.
Yep. So I keep that in mind.
Proud of you. I'm proud of you. I mean,
thank you.
The fact is that you're still here. You're still here.
Yep. I look forward to celebrating more life. That's what makes life so dope. I get to celebrate more stuff.
We appreciate you, and we're going to create some opportunities for you to connect more and tell your story more here in Savannah. You asked, and now it's going to happen. And when it happens, then you'll be like, look, y'all need to leave me alone.
No, I won't. I'm ready because I got some soldier women.
I'm gonna be your agent.
I got some soldier women living with HIV that's ready to roll. I got some men too. They are ready to roll. They're ready to do the work. So
this is what we'll do. I mean, I'll do a Zoom and I'll host a panel.
Let's go. I got you.
You set it up. And
I got you.
We'll have it because again, things that are not talked about doesn't change. So we're gonna somebody said, yeah, celebrate more stuff. So we want you to celebrate more stuff. And again, we want you to is there the Sonya trailer that is on the Cash App and Venmo, and I want you to let me know how much we raised. I'm hoping and praying that we got to $900.
I'm grateful, even if it's just one.
Just tell them it's from the people in Savannah. Just tell them we got mad love for them.
All right. I definitely will. You want me to check right now? You want me to get back with you in a minute?
Check right quick.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, let me check right quick. Hey, y'all see this picture she got on her picture, right? This is her.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I think I'm at like $500. Wow. I'm at $540.
All right, come on back on for a second.
Wow.
All right, folks, we have 5 minutes left in I mean, now usually date nights usually only an hour because then I go and I watch whatever it is they tell me to watch. So because you were on here and you were so dope, we were able to make that happen. Stay a little bit longer. So y'all, let's go ahead. We got $540.
Yes, $540. Wow.
We want to get to 900. So some of y'all big ballers, come on out. Let's put together some. And then I'm counting on me for 100 as well. So that's 640. We just need to get to 900. We need to get to 900.
Wow.
We need to get to
900. Wow.
It's going to be a blessing. We have to be able to invest in the work. And we have to invest in those things. I mean, it's one thing to say we want to go forth, but it's something different to invest in that work. And as you could tell, and I can tell you again from this young lady and the blessing she's been to the folks here in Savannah, to the young people that I have served, they want to know, do you have Zelle?
I do have Zelle. It's still my first and last name at gmail.com.
Okay, so on Zelle, I'll put this on here, Zelle, whatever Zelle is. You know what Zelle is?
Yes, so then there's PayPal, there's Zelle, there's Cash App, and Venmo.
So Zelle is what?
Zelle is my first and last name at gmail.com.
Well, the good thing is your name is unique, so it's not like, you know, not like Tracy Green or something.
No, not at all. And that's something else I didn't look to see.
Masai Trailer at Gmail.
Yes, at gmail.com.
And I need to tell them about your awesome website as well. Um, and that's www.masanyatrailer.com, right?
Correct, masanyatrailer.com. And I just so you know, I'm gonna tell you a little secret.
Wait, hold up. It's Mason, right?
Yes, like Mason and then IA.
Right, Masonia.
Yes. There are people that say that too often. Masonia.
Masonia.
Yes.
All right,
Especially as a
Zebra, thank
kid.
you. Appreciate that. And let me see. So yeah, so these folks are putting down. We want to get to $900 in the next couple of minutes.
Thank you.
I feel led to be. You know,
Then I want to tell you a secret real quick. So my website, I did it by myself.
really?
I'm still working on it again because I created a glitch, and so I'm revamping it. But I built it myself.
Your website is like the bomb with all the videos and stuff on there. I might need you to do mine.
Oh my God! I'm not a graphic designer, and
Oh no. Y'all have got to look at her website now. Beyond all the glamour shots of her, it's like, you know, she got.
I'm trying to edit to put some more of those shots up there. That's what I'm trying to do.
Emily said that you deserve $1 billion. You single-handedly support so many women live with HIV who have no one else to turn to. You are a treasure in Georgia, changing people's lives.
Thank you so much. I promise you, Emily, I don't do it by myself. There are other women who are privately living with their diagnosis that do assist me with this work. And although they're very quiet, I still get to find some joy in helping them fill a void within themselves by helping others. So I appreciate you saying that, but I'm definitely not doing this by myself. I do have a team of women that are assisting me with this work. And I do have some brothers in the fight that give me encouragement, that give me love, that are also living with HIV and AIDS, that support what I'm doing. And it's not by myself. I don't want to do this by myself, but I do get to do the work, and it's so beautiful.
Well, Joan says you should be a CNN hero. So Joan, let's go ahead and nominate her as a CNN hero. I mean, let's just nominate her. I mean, let's go to CNN.com and let's nominate her.
Oh my goodness. You know, that was my first like publication. That was my first media publication, CNN.com.
Wow. See?
Yeah, that was the first interview I did. That was so scary.
Right. Well, I mean, you putting yourself out there. I mean, then you don't turn it back there. So, all right. So we got a little bit more out there as well. Go ahead and look. And then let me ask you another question while you're doing that. So, and I guess it's kind of because HIV doesn't have a look.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it perfectly appropriate to say, you know, what's up with you? I mean, how do you ask that question about relevant health history? I mean, you know, how do you ask that question without like totally messing up the flow?
So you're saying like if you're dating or if somebody's just asking me in particular?
Well, I mean, if you're dating or you want to date or somebody you just kind of want to get to know, how do you have that conversation? What are we up to?
Van.
What?
I oh my God.
What?
We raised over $920.
Bam. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See, look at God. And Betsy said to check Venmo as well.
Oh my God.
Again.
To answer your question, how to ask.
This is Savannah Strong. This is Savannah Love.
Wow, thank you all so much. Okay, give me a moment to answer that question. Oh God. I just told this girl, yes,
no. no,
Woo, okay. I
no.
just told a girl yesterday I would try my best to help her.
Well,
So
guess what? Go help her.
thank you all.
Go help her.
I am. I
Go-
am.
Tell her,
Um,
tell her Savannah loves her.
I will. I will. I surely will. I hope she's watching and knows. Um, to answer your question, sometimes when people ask me about my diagnosis, and even if I've known them for a while, I can tell that they're scared to ask, and I can see that they're trying. And there are times where people are asking and they're not asking to try, they're asking to be nosy.
Right.
And there's a difference in genuinely asking because you just want to know for
Tanya,
yourself.
stop. Stop. You know, I'm on here and I'm Savannah Strong, and you got me getting a little misty.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. You know, my heart is strong enough to cry now, so I just let it happen now. And I didn't used to do this like this, but I just told this girl yesterday I'm gonna find a way to help her. And I said, you just have to speak up and let us know. She just refused to ask for help. And I said, I got you. I pray about it. I said, I got you. Just something's gonna come up. I got you.
And
So
the Lord still answers prayers.
very much so, and very quickly, very quickly. But so when it comes to asking people about their status, for me, I've noticed that some people, when they ask, they're asking in a way where they're just being nosy. Like they don't really care to understand or know. They're not really seeking to understand, like, or consider my feelings. They're like, well, you know, how do you do that? Like they talk in a way where it's not even matter of fact. It's just I don't even have words for it, but I can give you an example. There was a young lady that asked me, well, you know, how do you have sex? Now you and I have children the same age.
Duh.
Going to school together, and you're asking me, well, how do you have sex? And it is a legit question, but I asked her, well, how do you have sex? So some people are asking in a way where it's inappropriate, but it's something if you're asking because you want to try to understand, well, how does a person with HIV not pass the virus on to someone else? Like when you have sex, do you make sure you always use condoms? Asking very, specific detailed questions that is going to impact you and not just to be nosy about what's going on with me.
Right.
So that right there is really, really helpful. When you want to try to know something about anyone, you want to ask because you really care. So I will answer questions, but oftentimes when I respond, I can make people feel comfortable or I can make them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And so
But more specifically, and got a good question, but more specifically, you meet somebody.
there we go.
Meeting them, what's up? I think you smooth. What you gonna, I mean, I'm not like that, but other guys, so what's up? We gonna do this. How do you get to the point where you just kind of like, hold up, tell me about you. Do you just go straight up and say,
You just
show me
said
your
what
test results?
So the intent, it depends on what the intent is. So not everyone's interested in being in a relationship. Some people are just interested in having sex. And so at what point do you value yourself enough to say, regardless if I know that person's status or not, we don't have time for that, but I'm going to make sure we use a condom.
Right.
We're going to make sure we use some level of protection.
So you wouldn't necessarily have the conversation. You just protect
if you're interested in, and that's the purpose of you being with that person is just simply to have sex, then I'm not gonna judge you or anything for that. It's just, what are you going to do to make sure you protect yourself and that person? Are you going to use a female condom? Do you have intent to use a post-exposure prophylaxis, which is when you take medication after having unprotected sex because you think you may have been exposed to HIV? Are you going to use PrEP? So you can take a pill every day, similar to like taking what women taking birth control. It's a pre-exposure prophylaxis. You take one pill a day to prevent HIV. It's all about what is it that you're going to do to prevent it for yourself. Now, if you're in a relationship with someone, or you're, taking your time getting to know someone and you're interested in them in the long run, then you definitely want to have those conversations around their values, around how they talk about HIV, how they talk about their past sexual history or any STDs they've been exposed to, because there are a lot of chlamydia survivors out here. It's a lot of herpes survivors out here. There are a lot of gonorrhea and trichomonas and VB survivors out here, right? And so those survivors are no different than a person with HIV or AIDS. It's just that one is curable, some are curable, and one isn't right now. So you have that conversation based on where you stand in your own personal values. And I'm asking you to make it a strong value for yourself, not to pass it on. I think it was so unfair for the person that passed HIV along to me to not have done everything it is in their ability to make sure that they didn't pass it on to anybody else. And I think it was so irresponsible of me to not make sure I knew that person's status.
But what a mission it's been.
Yes, yes, very much.
Last time, look, because some folks are still saying stuff. So I need you. So why don't we do this? We want you to check check the Cash
Venmo.
App, Cash the Zelle, and the Venmo, because they're all asking. They're saying, is that from all of the sources or just one?
Okay. So I'm going back now. Oh my God. Okay. So I'm at $1,000 from Cash App right now.
Damn.
And I'm going to the other app. Okay. And from Zelle, I'm at $45
Okay.
on Zelle. And then okay. I am at $30 on PayPal.
Okay.
No, yes, $30 on PayPal.
Okay. That's 175.
Okay, so that was Zelle, that and Venmo, right?
Yeah, Venmo, right.
Okay, give me a second on Venmo. Wow. This means so much to me for the women that I am going to be helping. One of my new part of my mission is to help women who are leading in HIV leverage their leadership so that they can secure their legacies. And this will help tremendously around that as well. So give me 1 second. And then with Venmo, I've received another $30.
Okay. So we're at 1,000. 4, 7. Well, it's almost 65 to 10. So $1,105.
Wow. Thank you all so much. So much. I will make sure that these women get exactly what they need. I will make sure of it. Wow.
You make sure we put together the bomb symposium. You owe
I
us.
got you. I'm with you. I'm already on the planning committee.
Wait till the beginning of the year, and then we'll put something together. We'll advertise it, and we'll have people coming and telling their stories, and we'll get our kids and our children and our families to watch it. We'll get it sponsored. here locally by, we'll get the health department to push it out. We're going to help save some lives.
Thank you so much, Van. I appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to really putting a fingerprint, a stamp, and a dent in HIV in Savannah. Like that
You
is.
already have.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm looking forward to doing more.
Well, get ready, get ready, get ready.
Thank you all so much. I thank you guys so much.
You might just stay on while because we done been on. So this is the longest Friday night, which is the longest one we've ever done. So I just want to let you know that because we will.
Oh wow! I don't know if it's a full party, but it's definitely a date. It must be a good date.
We do this every Friday night at 8:30. And so we want to thank everybody for coming out and thank everybody for joining us. We want to thank Masanya Trailer for coming and being a part of us. And again, we will do this again next week, Friday, 8:30 p.m. for Friday Night Live. Again, want to thank you all so much for joining us. And, we'll do this again soon. God bless. Thank you so much.